learn while you're waiting.
Right.
Don't wait to get your numbers and then say, then I'm going to study the carriers, then I'm going to study the sales process, then I'm going to find out about leads, and then I will finally launch. If you do it sequentially, it's going to be painful, and the longer that's taking, the propensity and the likelihood of your success is going down. That meter is just going, like your meter is going down, like your success meter, wherever you want to put that. The success meter is going down the longer it takes. So learn while you wait. Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. We got a great one for you today in studio with Mr. Chris Ball, the maestro, the man, the guy who's got the Life Insurance Academy jingle. You want to hit us with it again, Chris?
Life Insurance Academy, we're going to learn you good.
Anyway, that was just a callback to the last podcast. If you've been watching, I wanted to get it right on the top.
Life-changing.
Adam was so proud of the music in there. Wasn't that good? If you like that jingle, go ahead and drop some comments in the channel. Guys, we've got a great episode for you today. We've been talking to a lot of agents, coaching a lot of agents, and I had someone in our industry ask me some very key questions this past week.
Yeah?
And it made me pause and think and document some answers. And the question was, what do most new agents struggle with, and what do they need the most?
Yeah.
And I thought about that question. I thought about it. And I documented my answer. And the answer that I provided, Chris, was, I think the things, the biggest problems we need to help new agents solve is a fast track to early and sustainable profitability. I think it's probably the biggest factor that determines whether somebody's going to move into that 8% or the 92%.
Yeah.
If they get off to a good start, early profitability, and they understand a system that can be sustained to continue that success, they launch.
Yeah.
It's the ones who go to launch, and at launch, there's failure to launch, like that movie,
Yes.
Failure to Launch. Who was in that movie?
Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey, yeah. Failure to launch. Just like they can never get out of the house for whatever reason. You got jokes going through your mind.
Just name a movie, dude.
Yeah, they can never get it going, and so they're stumbling out of the blocks. It reminds me of when you see in the Olympics, Adam. Here's your cue. In the Olympics or in track and field, they get run down the field. It's hurdles, and that first girl, that first guy hits that first hurdle with their foot and trips and falls, and then they get up, and when they start printing, they hit the next one and trip and fall again, and literally they're going to hit. They're going to hit another one and trip and fall. It's in the hurdle fail video library somewhere. And it feels like that. And that is a painful place to be. And I think it's the reason why a lot of agents fail. So how do we get agents to early and sustainable profitability? And in our discussion today, we've outlined 5 steps to fast profits in life sales.
Yeah. I did a training recently with some agents, and I kind of gave this illustration. If you're joining Elon Musk on a trip to Mars, you're joining him, and the rocket looks great, leather seats, of course, because only the best for Elon. And you ask him, okay, so how long is this trip? It's going to be a week.
It's driverless.
It's very impressive by now.
It's only a week. It's a driverless
shuttle, right? And
pilotless.
But
it wouldn't be a driver if it was a shuttle.
It's going to be
Mars.
pilotless.
It would be pilot.
But he says, hey, it takes. You ask how many gallons of gas does this sucker take, because they're still using that. We're not at electric shuttles yet. But he says, well, it takes 100 gallons of gas to get to Mars. But gas is really expensive. So I put in 98.
We're going to try to do it on 90.
90. I put in 90. I put in 90 gallons.
I wonder if we can do it on 80.
I know we're not launching a shuttle here, but I think that is kind of the first symptom of how people approach this. They're launching something new. They have a clear destination of what they're trying to accomplish, or what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah. And this launch, to me, says everything. It says everything. And on this launch side, the very first thing you have to do This is step one, is you have to be licensed to sell life insurance.
That's right.
You do. You have to get a license.
You cannot get started unless you have a license.
And gang, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. We have a discount
code
for you to get discounted licensing, because you have to take a pre-course to qualify to take the license.
Pre-license training.
You
have to finish that. And then once you finish that, you're now certified to take the actual
course.
test, your state exam.
Right.
And it's with Excel testing, and you can get the link. Right.
Discount. Boom. And
right
every
here.
state
and get
requires
a discount.
this.
Yeah. 50% discount.
Correct.
50%.
Every state requires this. You can't bypass this.
You have to get licensed.
Then the licensing side, then this is really where the measure comes from. This is why I talked about the launch and the time and all this stuff. If it's taking you 2 weeks to get that license,
that's probably the outside timeline for me.
Yeah, that's an issue. Like
as an indicator of
success. It becomes
success.
like a yellow light of concern for me.
Correct.
Like, where are we at with this? 10 days is probably closer. 7 days. Like people, this is what I see. People do not compress their timelines. And if you don't compress your timeline, I don't know if you're taking it serious. Mm-hmm. And I know you've got stuff going on. You do. And I will tell you my journey. Like when I started this, Roger, you shared this with me. Mm-hmm. Working at a roofing supply place, great people, but I didn't want to ask for time off because I needed that shift. I had to have that shift. And I had requested a Friday off to go to my sister's wedding. All right. That wedding was Saturday, but we were going up Friday, and I was going to take the test on the way up. I was stopping to take the test on the way up to my sister's wedding. And so I scheduled this day, and it was 1 week. I had 1 week to pull this off. And I
had to study, learn the material, and then you had the scheduled test for the day you were going to drive to Michigan.
Yeah. It was actually Dayton, Ohio. Correct.
Ohio.
Yeah. So I had 1 week to get through the pre-licensing, get approved, and then sit and take my test. Mm-hmm. And I pulled it off. In that week. I felt like a genius, but I passed with a 80 or something like that. I don't remember what it was. And you only need a 75, something like that.
I passed, but if I got one more wrong, I would have had to retake the test, is what they told me. He said, you passed. I said, good. Did I do well? He goes, well, let's say you passed. If you got one more wrong, you'd been coming back here in a week or so.
Yep. And I
did mine, by the way, in 4 days. From the time I started to when I was ready to take the test. I took the test the following Monday. So I did 4 days of study, and the following Monday I took the test, and I was done.
Yeah. So it can be done. And I had kids during that time. I had a dog.
You had a dog?
I had coaching stuff for my boys.
I had a dog.
I had responsibilities. I was working
to feed the dog,
overtime. I was doing
to walk the dog.
You had to walk him. But my point is, there's lots of reasons to put it off. But if you're serious about it, if you're serious about profitability, then how you approach these very front pieces of it will determine your, I don't know, I want to say it's a perfect match. Like, hey, it took you a month to get through this. You're going to fail. I'm not saying that's a perfect match, but
the longer it takes you to get through your license, it has a direct correlation to the likelihood of success in the industry.
Yes.
And the longer it takes, the likelihood of success is going down just because of work ethic, focus, compressing time, pushing through hard things, managing a condensed schedule, fitting things in where they don't fit to make it happen. Like, there are busy and efficient people out there, and some other people look at them and go, how do you get so much done every day? Do you have more hours in your day than mine? No, they're just more efficient. Yeah. They're more focused, and they get it done.
And they may not sleep as much.
They may not get as much sleep as they want that week, and they certainly missed out on their Netflix episode. Yes. Whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like, get licensed, get through it. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. There are streamlined prep review courses, and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount, reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-licensed training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career. Yeah. Number 2, Chris.
Number 2 is once you get your license, it typically doesn't take a long time. Certain states do have a turnaround time.
24 to 48 hours after you pass your test. Usually you have your license show up in the National Insurance Producer Registry portal.
And you can pull that number, and then you can get
your state number, your national number, and then you can start
contracting.
Step 2.
Now, in your contracting with your group, whoever you're working with, you're going to be working with some type of group probably, is there will be some requirements, and you have to pay attention to the emails that are coming to you because they may ask for anti-money laundering training. And they'll give you direction on where to get that training. They'll ask for E&O insurance.
Right? Errors and omissions insurance, which is required by many carriers.
Yeah. So those requirements, again, speed. You have to move through these things quickly. If you put it off and you're like, well, I'll get to it Wednesday because I've got these errands to run and that, this is pushing off your profitability. I'm going to say double. I don't have a fact. It's a totally complete made up stat. But I'd say double because of your attitude and your approach to this. Whatever's coming to you that needs filled out, signed for you to complete your contracting, it has to be done immediately. So that contracting piece is important. You will get your license pretty quickly. And once you have your license, during your contracting, you should be working on some stuff.
Well, once you submit your contracting for the carriers, so you're gonna do those prerequisites, get the preliminary information in.
Yes.
E&O insurance, your anti-money laundering that each carrier needs.
Yeah.
And then let's say you get set up with 5 carriers to start with, then you have to wait. Right?
Yeah, you may wait 7 to 14 days in some cases
to get one, and so
and that's a writing number. They're going to give you a writing number, and that's permission for you to represent those carriers and begin
in the
signing
state
up
that
clients.
that you're licensed and that you've applied for, and you start in your home state.
Yeah,
you can if you're going to need multiple states, you need to go ahead and once you get those licenses, and go ahead and begin the process to apply for the reciprocal non-resident license. So if you were in Kentucky and you also wanted to write business in Indiana and Ohio, you go onto the CIRCON, SIRCON, CIRCON, or the NIPR, and you can get a link to contract with a non-resident license in those states. And it's simply an application that's online, and you pay a fee.
Yeah.
And usually you have those almost instantly or within 24 hours.
Yeah.
I've had some of them, people have told me recently, it's an instant, like right away, here's the new number, and they charge your card. They're just processing a number at that point. You don't have to do any more, testing or licensing. It's just a non-resident reciprocal. You got to get that done. So now you've got your 3 states applied for.
Correct.
And the entire time you're staying connected to who, Chris?
You are staying directed to your community, your upline, whoever's directing you or invited you into the business.
Yeah, stay close to them.
Yes.
Stay connected to them. They're going to walk you through that. Number 3, once you get your contracting submitted and you're waiting for some of these, you may get 1 or 2 carriers licenses that come back. But before you even get those back, you're going to start learning.
This is huge.
Number 3, learn while you're waiting.
Right.
Don't wait to get your numbers and then say, then I'm going to study the carriers, then I'm going to study the sales process, then I'm going to find out about leads, and then I will finally launch. If you do it sequentially, it's going to be painful, and the longer that's taking, the propensity and the likelihood of your success is going down. That meter is just going, I don't know which way is up or down on here, but if this is up, Adam, and the meter, you're going to do this. You're going to draw a thing here, and it's just going to go like your meter's going down, like your success meter, wherever you want to put that. The success meter is going down the longer it takes. So learn while you wait. What are they learning, Chris? What are some things that you want them to learn?
I would love for them to be walking through their sales process, whether it's scripts or presentations that they're going to be presenting, doing some role playing with people so that they can start to understand and begin the learning curve of the sales business. Even if you've done sales before, it's different. Like you still have to go through the learning curve. So giving yourself that edge, we talk about this, the book, The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson, it's these little things, because a lot of people, they'll do their contracting and they'll say, well, I guess I'm waiting for my contracts. And then they'll live their lives during that time.
They wait. They're not studying anything.
That's a 7-day difference. 7-day difference.
Yeah.
Versus working on a sales process, calling your upline, talk to them. And I'm telling you guys. Shadowing. Doing ride-alongs, listening, or sitting in a Zoom, listening to them do telesales, whatever it is. And I'm telling you guys, if they're not inviting you, tell them you are going to do it. Say, I need to see you do this.
I need to see you do this. When can I get with you? Can you turn on a Zoom? Can I come be with you? Can I ride with you? I need to see the process.
Absolutely.
You need to shadow. So while you're waiting for your carrier contracts coming in, you're learning. So you need to make time out on their schedule. You can't expect them to meet your schedule. You need to be flexible to their time schedule. They're already in the business. They're successful. Correct. They're already running. You need to adapt to them and learn when they're providing the training. And get in the ecosystem so you can watch successful people doing it. Stay connected to your community. We're saying this one the entire time. Stay connected to your team, the organization, and the people that are going to be helping you directly. Stay in touch with them daily. Shadow them, learn if there's scripts, if there's rebuttals, if there's sales process that they recommend, if there's a process for onboarding that they recommend, follow those steps.
Yes.
And be the first in line. Don't be the last in line. I was watching someone that I was connected to on Facebook the other day, and they said, the people who show up in the rooms and sit in the front are the people who have success. Nobody gets noticed sitting in the back. The people who sit up front, asking the questions, the people who are engaging, those are the people who get noticed and have success because they're getting direct feedback. So be that person, whatever that means to you. When I say show up and be in the room, if that's on a Zoom call, because your upline is 3 states away, then get on a Zoom call with them daily. Do daily check-ins if they have that available. You may need to travel to their state and spend 3 days with them. You may need to, get in their car. I know you rode with me in my car and you watched me do this for the first while. And you weren't even eligible to write a policy.
Right. Correct.
You were just watching. Do you remember what you learned during that time?
Oh, so much. I mean, for me, I think some of the most valuable things that I learned was the value of what we do in the marketplace that we serve. You had shared it with me and spoke about it so many times, but then when I'm sitting in a home and talking to Miss Betty about her needs and how her family would be affected, man, it was like, I did not have any concept of what this was.
Emotionally.
So, yeah.
You didn't you didn't realize the impact that we were doing and the value that we were providing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just,
and that moved you.
Yeah. And it was because I had a preconceived notion of what sales was, right? I mean, that initial conversation, like, I don't want to take advantage of old people. Like, I had this idea of like sales.
Somehow I was manipulating them.
Yeah.
You liked me. You thought I was out there manipulating and taking advantage of seniors, taking their money.
Grief, man.
Taking their money.
I don't know if I want to sell anything, but yeah. Hey, kid, come over here. I got a bridge for you. But
that's not what was happening.
No.
But when you actually saw it lived out, you put yourself in that environment and you could see yourself succeeding. Because it was a valuable service.
It accelerated, right?
Yeah.
So I guess as we're talking about this, some of the key issue here is having a sense of urgency throughout this process and understanding as something is happening, something else should be happening.
Correct.
So if you're just doing something and it's done and you're standing,
you're already losing.
You're losing. You're losing.
You're stopping the plane on the runway when you're actually supposed to be full throttles down, heading to the end of the runway, hoping you get airborne before you run out of pavement. Right? Yep. Don't be putting the brakes on.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be getting some carrier contracts that get approved before others.
True.
When you get that email from American Amicable or SBLI or whichever is your favorite carrier to do telesales with, or if that's your ecosystem that you're in, the vertical that you're in, when you get that communication email, jump on there, follow their directions, log in, explore the website, start learning about the products, learn about the EAP. Guys, you got to take this upon yourself to learn all of these things.
Yeah.
How do I get to my EAP? Do I know my logins? Is there credentials needed? Where am I storing my credentials? Am I storing my logins and passwords in one place so I can find them easily? Do I have a password portal on my computer where they're all at and I can easily access them?
Yeah.
Like, these are all things you need to think through before you get in the real environment and it's game day.
And I like, Roger, what you said about the minute you get your writing number and your login information, you start working through these things. There's also a window of time once you start getting your writing numbers. I'm just saying, if you have 2 writing numbers, you have enough to go make some mistakes and learn something and maybe write some applications, right? That's the whole point. So you get those writing numbers. Your next step with the advice of your upline, your community, is to start getting on a lead order. Get that lead order in. While you're waiting for those leads, you are getting on these back-end portals, going through EAPs. I'm telling you, narrow it down to 3-4 carriers that you're going to be leaning into on a regular basis. Print out their applications. I know that is old school. I'm not telling you to fax them. I'm just telling you to print them, okay? Because then you can have them laying around, copies of them laying around where you can just pick it up, review these questions so you can get used to it, because you don't know. You don't
even know how to say some of these words
no.
on the health questions.
What is it? I can't remember the transient ischemic attack.
Yeah,
that was
going to
so
be on
hard
every
for me.
freaking
Transient
questionnaire.
ischemic attack.
Yeah. Have you had a stroke or a TIA, transient ischemic attack?
Right. Yeah.
Diabetic neuropathy or nephropathy.
Oh, geez. Yeah. You're diabetic.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Like, you're going to be saying words that you've never really said before. Like, you need to review all that stuff and learn it.
Yeah.
Learn it. And by the way, Chris, my first full year in the business, I only had 4 carriers.
There you go.
4.
Boom.
4. And I remember I had American Amicable Life. I had United Home Life, a small company out of Indiana. And then I had Forrester's Financial. And then I had a guaranteed issue company that we did with people who didn't otherwise qualify. It was a guaranteed issue company called Presidential Life at the time. They've since pulled out of the market, but I had those 4 carriers. Yeah. And I remember when I got running, I wrote most of my business in my first full year. I was running for a trip with Forrester for Fiji. And I remember by the end of May, I had written $137,000 by the end of May, just with 4 carriers.
Wow.
And most of it was with Forrester's.
Nice.
So, like that, those are distinct memories for me. I didn't realize at the time that was going to be important for me to repeat on a podcast, 10 years later.
Yes.
But some of you are thinking you need 12 carriers and that you need all of these carriers in your toolbox and you need to know everything. And you heard about this other one online and now you need that one before you ever get started, and you get yourself paralyzed because it's too much information to consume and you're not learning about the 4 you do have. You're focused on the ones you don't have, while you're not learning about the ones you do have. Like, dial in, figure out what the process looks like, at least know how to submit an application. Do they have a mobile app? Is there an underwriting tool? Are there underwriting cheat sheets? What all the tricks that I need to know about this carrier, I need to know it so that when I get in front of the client, I'm confident in my products.
Yeah, that changes how you talk about it and how they hear you. And we talk about this in our training about gaining trust with authority and empathy. You can check out our courses to learn, or our coaching for that matter, to learn more about that. But that can only come from the preparation at this window. We're just spending a lot of time on this window because this is when most people fizzle out, because honestly, this is the number. If you do it right, you should receive a deposit within 30 to 40 days of your launch.
I would say sooner than that. If they're moving through with efficiency, I would say within 3 weeks.
If you are moving through quickly, there's this much space to be able to pull that off correctly. Great. But
if you're pausing,
if you're standing still, you're losing.
And you're doing it sequentially,
correct.
It's going to be 6-8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then when you write that first one, it's not even a day 1 coverage. So it's as earned commission only. Yes. And then the next one you write gets declined.
And it's a bad experience.
And now you're like, what's going on? I've been in this thing for almost 2 months and I'm not making any money.
Right.
Well, whose fault was that?
Correct.
It's yours.
Yeah.
It's your fault. It's my fault. Take ownership of it. First principle of success in the Success Principles book says take 100% responsibility for yourself.
Correct.
And your actions. It's the number one driver of success.
So you've done all the study. You've as something was happening, you were doing something. As something was happening, you're doing something. This final piece is just to take as much action as fast as you can. For me, and I'm not saying blow through a presentation like an auctioneer or anything like that. I'm saying your action, you're committed to it and you're taking as much as possible. For me, when I did this, I just kind of said to myself, I had to fail at this as quick as possible. I needed to get through the failure part of this so I could start learning, so I could start winning.
Correct.
And everybody has to get through this. But if you pushed it off because of your lack of action, you're losing.
Yeah. Number 4, while you're studying your carriers and and the application process and the products, and by the way, stay connected to your team because there's going to be some products in that carrier lineup that you need and other ones that you really won't.
Correct.
You need to focus on the ones you need, not the ones you don't.
Yeah.
So stay connected to that group and know which ones those are. But while you're studying that, now you need to order your leads.
Yes.
Now you need to have the lead conversation and start that process. And some of you are going, hold on a minute. I need to learn everything first before I order my leads because I don't want to screw up the leads. And now you've just paused yourself 2 more weeks or another week because you're trying to, do I know enough? Do I have the perfect time available for me to call so that all of my leads answer within the first 2 days and I sell all of them in the first week? Right? You're putting the cart way before the horse. So you got to get your leads ordered and make sure you're doing that right. Connect with your team. Get connected to the lead source that they're using, that the successful people are using. Make sure you check the fruit on the tree of the people that you're with. Find out who the successful people are and use the leads they're using because it's a proven system. Follow that process, but get your leads ordered and started. Now, they're not going to come in right away necessarily, right? Some of them might take a weekend, 4 or 5 days if they're digital leads.
Yeah.
If you're doing direct mail leads, for crying out loud, it's going to take 3 to 4 weeks, depending on what type of direct mail it is. But get your lead order processed and get moving. Interestingly, Chris, when I first started, I put down, and we were just doing direct mail. It was like $800 a week. And they said, you need to order 3 weeks worth of mail to get going. $800 a week was going to get me somewhere about 20 to 25 leads at the time. This was a long time ago, so it's cheaper than it is now. And so I had $2,400 invested, and then I went and bought some old ones. I just went and bought old leads, really old leads. I found them, I bought them. I'm like, I'm just going to practice on these old ones. Yeah. Because I wanted to get the reps in before I did the good ones, and I wasn't even fully ready. I mean, I had 2 carriers. I didn't even have my guaranteed issue company then. I only had 2 carriers, AMM and United Home Life. And I just got these old leads and they were 2.5 hours away. I drove down there. Once I got there, I realized they didn't even have addresses on them. They had P.O. boxes. If you've been watching the podcast, you've heard the story. And only half of them had phone numbers. It was a disaster. But what I learned was how to go uncover those, how to contact them. I was able to get my reps in. I wasn't full-time yet. I hadn't left my other career, and I was trying to navigate this. But that helped me get started, and I was practicing.
Yeah, that's that final piece. Number 5 for us is taking action, and you can't take action without leads.
No,
you can't get leads without contracts, and you can't get contracts without a license. So it's all...
Actually, you can buy leads. Anyone will sell you leads.
That's true.
Even if you didn't have any contracts, those lead companies will still sell them to you, and they say, that's your dumb fault for not having a license.
Just a lead collector.
You mean you're not licensed?
And there are lead collectors, folks who buy a bunch of leads and never work them.
Yeah. So you got to get started. You got to start dialing. And if you're doing telesales, you got to take massive action. And on each of these steps, I want to remind you, you got to stay connected to your team and the ecosystem of people who are taking daily activity, the people who are running hard, the people who are having profitability. Stay connected in that ecosystem. Do they have a way for you to connect? If so, show up early, stay on there late, be attentive, ask good questions, plug in, learn fast, sit in the front row, show enthusiasm, go, go, go. Boom. All systems go. You're trying to get a plane off the runway, for crying out loud. If you're trying to get a plane off the runway, don't try to do it while conserving the most fuel. Like all the throttles are down, all of them. I never want to get on a jet plane with a pilot who says, I'm going to try to get off the runway with only 3/4 throttle because I'd like to save 10,000 gallons.
That's right.
What? What do you mean? We're going to try to do it at 3. I know last time I did it at 7/8. I want to see if I can do it at 3/4 throttle this time. You're nuts, right? You're going to crash that thing. All pedals to the floor, all throttles full engaged. You're moving. You're trying to get the plane off the ground. And if you do that, guess what's going to start happening? You're going to start writing apps. You're going to start placing policies. And 48 hours later, a beautiful thing happens. You wake up and there's a notification that there's beautiful deposits into your bank account for hundreds and sometimes even thousands of dollars for each one of these. And you're like, this is magic. And once you get that magic feeling and you realize I can duplicate that again, I'm in a system now, I'm in an ecosystem that works, and you've gotten launched within that first 30 days, man, you've given yourself the highest rate of success. That success meter is going up instead of going down, and you give yourself the best chance. Get licensed, get contracted, learn while you wait. While you're studying your carriers, start your lead order, and then take massive action. There's the 5 steps to fast profits in life sales. Chris, close us out and take us home.
I'll tell you, I've seen this for myself, agents who move slowly and agents who move quickly. And the ones who move quickly, they have the best path for success. And this business is changing people's lives. It's the best kept secret in America. So you can do something special in this business. We believe in you guys. We'd love to hear your comments below. If you have questions, you can throw them in there. You have thoughts, you can tell your story. Maybe you were a fast launcher, maybe you were a slow launcher. Some of the best writers failed out of the business and they came back into it and had success because they approached it with the right attitude and the right urgency the second time, right? So we'd love to hear your comments. And guys, please subscribe. And if you got value of this, just share it with somebody. Share it with your mom. Share it with your mom. She'll love it.
And if you think Chris should write more jingles,
let me know.
Please let us know in the comments. Should Chris write more jingles? If so, what should they be? Maybe he'll put that on contract. We'll throw your Venmo in there. You can start writing jingles for people.
I'd love it. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next Life Insurance Academy podcast.